Okay, we are starting our first policy standing committee. And I want to go to the agenda somewhat. Am I to read all this for this?
Yeah.
Okay. First beginning, I need to speak on the proclamation on police practices. Commission meetings will be conducted pursuant to the provision of California Government Code. No, yes, I do. Okay, I'm doing it. Code section 54953A as amended by Assembly Bill 2249. The commission business meeting will be in person and the meeting will be open for in-person testimony. Additionally, we are continuing to provide alternatives to in-person attendance for participating in our meetings. In lieu of in-person attendance, members of the public may also participate via telephone. Zoom. The link to join is blue. In-person public comment on agenda item. If you wish to address the CPP Standing Committee on an item on today's agenda, please complete and submit a speaker slip before the committee hears the agenda item. You will be called at the time the item is heard. Each speaker must file a speaker slip with the CPP staff at the meeting at which the speaker wishes to speak, indicating which item they wish to speak on. Speaker slips may not be turned in prior to the day of the meeting or after completion of in-person testimony. In-person public comment will conclude before virtual testimony begins. Each speaker who wishes to address the commission must state who they are representing if they represent an organization or another person. For discussion and information item, each speaker may speak up to 3 minutes, subject to the committee chair's determination of the time available for meeting management purposes. In addition to any time ceded by other members of the public who are present at the meeting and have submitted a speaking slip, ceding their time. These speaker slips should be submitted together at one time to the designated CCP staff. The committee chair may also limit organized group presentations of 5 or more people to 15 minutes or less. In-person public comment on matters not on the agenda. You may address the standing committee on any matter not listed on today's agenda. Please complete and submit a speaker slip. However, California's most open meeting laws do not permit the standing committee to discuss or take any action on the matter of today's meeting. At its discretion, the standing committee may add the item to a future meeting agenda or confer the matter to the CPP. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. At the discretion of the committee chair, if a large number of people wish to speak on the same item, comments may be limited to a set period of time per item to appropriately manage the meeting and ensure the standing committee has time to consider all the agenda items. A member of the public may only provide 1 comment per agenda item. In-person public comment on items not on the agenda will conclude before virtual testimony begins. Virtual platform, public comments to a particular item or matter not on the agenda. When the committee chair introduces the item you should like to comment on or indicates it is time for non-agenda public comment, raise your hand by either tapping the raise your hand button on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, or by dialing *9 on your side. You will be taken in order in which you raised your hand. You may only speak once on a particular item. When the committee chair indicates it is your turn to speak, click the unmute prompt that will appear on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, or dial *6 on your phone. Written comment through web form. Comment on agenda item and non-agenda public comment may also be submitted using the web form. If using the web form, indicate the agenda item number you wish to submit a comment for. All web form comments are limited to 200 words. on the web form.
Well, you can just call, you can call roll call.
Goodness.
You just have to read the
Lord
statement
have
on
mercy.
the
Okay,
public comment.
call to order. Are my people on here? No, I just gotta I don't know.
No, I call roll call.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, let me do that real quick.
If I gotta read all that, that's half the meeting. Oh, I don't even stop you. Okay. Well, I wish you never stop me.
Okay, so we got Miss Ada Rodriguez,
Here.
Armando Flores, Stephen Chatsky,
Here.
Alec Byer,
Here.
Imani Robinson,
Present.
and we're waiting for Lupe.
Is that the only one missing?
And Doug Case. He's not gonna be there. Yeah, so now you can open it for public comment.
Okay, is there any public comment?
We have none in person, and it doesn't look like we have any online either. If there's anybody online that wishes to speak, please raise your hand and push *9. I don't think we have anybody. Oh, we do have people. We do have a hand.
Okay.
Mr. Daddierman, please unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
You're speaking.
Mr. DeArmond?
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, that's speaking about me.
DeArmond, there we go.
Let me know when you can hear me.
Hello, please try speaking again.
Hello, hello.
I can hear it on here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. 1 second. Let me see if we can get your volume up really quick. Can you try one more time, please?
Hello, hello.
TV speaker should be fine. Yeah, I think he's speaking though. We can't hear him.
Is the TV volume?
Okay, try one more time for me.
I don't think the volume.
There will be a remote.
There it is.
Okay, we're gonna restart your time. We can hear you now. You have 3 minutes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your patience.
Don't start my timer yet until I start.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I'm ready to start. You guys ready?
Ready.
You can hear me, right?
We can hear you.
Okay. I believe that those participating in non-agenda discussion should be able to speak both at the opening and the end of each CPB meeting, especially if there's no one else in the queue to speak. The CPP must focus on public comments and allow ample opportunity for participants to speak. When will the CPP demand full transparency with San Diego Police, officers who are sworn ironically to protect and serve, and who ridiculously call themselves, quote unquote, America's finest? As I've stated before, I'm a graduate of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, FLETC, former Naval Base San Diego security officer, retired lieutenant commander, 30 years in the Navy. When, like our military, will police officers be held accountable for their actions and not hide behind qualified immunity? My son was murdered with great malice and forethought as the officers acted out of fear. This can be easily determined by the number of bullets fired at my son. All this over an inoperable third brake light. As is clearly evident, changes are required, especially with regards to the use of deadly force and the application of life-saving measures upon those mortally wounded by police officers. I'm extremely disappointed that the CPP has failed to conduct a thorough, independent investigation of the murder of my son. Why were the officers allowed to prohibit life-saving measures? Murder in the military is a court-martial offense. San Diego Fire Department was standing by, prohibited from life-saving measures. The officers that murdered my son remain on duty back on patrol in Barrio Logan, where they murdered my son, ready to murder another victim.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Excuse. Okay, Yusuf Miller, please unmute yourself if you'd like to speak.
It's a Bluetooth speaker.
This worked.
It is, but I'm trying to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. 3 minutes.
Okay, this is Yusef Miller with the North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving the Lives in Custody, California. And I want to speak up for justice for Christy Armin. Christy Armin is a test case, I believe, in all the things that can go wrong with an investigation of police conduct on the streets. There were too many things missing from the original complaint. And it seems that if you're only getting what law enforcement allows you to receive, to digest and dissect, then you're not getting the full complaint. We've seen the father of Christy Armin and the sister of Christy Armin continuously come here and talk about all the aspects of this arrest that they felt was foul and abused his rights as far as getting proper aid to receive life-saving treatment. The weaponry that was used on him, the ammunition that caused such horrific damage that even if they did get life-saving treatment to him in time, that it would be very difficult. And also the use of canines, all the things that we've talked about before, even pretext stops, all the things that we talked about before are present in the Christy Armin case. And I think we need to reevaluate, reopen, and look at all of those aspects of that case that the family is missing. Thank you very much. I'm Yusef Miller.
Thank you, Yusuf. Seeing no other hands. That concludes public comment.
Thank you. And I'd also like to acknowledge.
Yes.
Sorry, Diaz, pardon me, I can't hardly look at. That's maybe at 5:16.
5:16.
We're gonna go ahead and start with new business. Can they do it?
I'm not sure. Let's try to speak up a little bit louder.
Okay, I can do that. So we're gonna start with making sure that everyone is okay with our next meeting, so that we can plan for the retreat. And today we want to set a date for the retreat. So I know we would like it to be obviously sometime over the summer, and I know people are possibly traveling. We just want to make sure that we're all on board and come up with a date.
I'll start by saying that I will be out of town from July 6th to July 15th. I come back on the 15th. I'll be back in San Diego.
Why don't we, oh, go ahead. Yes,
Don't we already have a meeting set on June 26th?
that is for us to plan for the retreat. That's what I just stated before. I said you're going to have a meeting before, which is what, about the 26th?
Yes.
So June 26th is our next policy committee meeting.
We can go back to the retreat.
No, you wanted to have a robust retreat. So we want to plan for it and we want everyone there.
Yeah,
The
okay.
entire commission.
That sounds good.
This is not our fund little trip. It's the entire
I'm sorry,
commission.
I understand now.
Um,
I withdraw.
I'm thinking August. Why don't we leave July alone and set August? I'm assuming we can't just say a date because we want all commissioners on board. Same thing. So maybe send out a doodle and make sure it's for August.
Is
We'll
August,
say mid to end of August.
yeah, I wasn't able to make the long.
And it will be a Saturday.
Saturdays in August are the 9th, the 16th, the 2nd, the 9th, 16th, and 23rd, and 30th.
I like the 23rd, or 23rd or the 30th. So let's,
Yeah, then we try to propose that you stay all of those dates and add up 3 to 4, and send that
Yeah.
out to get the most, people that can.
To make it simpler, because I think it gets more difficult of the number of commissioners that we have kind of deciding a date. You mentioned July, August
I said just
23rd, 30.
Yeah, the two last ones, 23
Right.
and the 30th.
So can I suggest that we could send a poll with those 2 dates and then a open one if those don't work?
Yes. Have an open one for like best time. Like if someone
If
says
this
they
doesn't
if
work.
that doesn't work, what works?
Right.
I love that. So we have 3 choices and we'll just have an open for like best Saturday.
only in August though? You talk about getting the lady from University of Chicago out, having speakers. Is a month enough time?
We want to say,
That'd be
okay, we
too
want to
much.
say, let's leave it alone and go September because I need my experts. Because we need them to confirm. And August is when, that's pretty much when the city is closed in sense of like, everything's, that's kind of like the vacation time is August. So maybe we'll leave it alone. You want to just say September and then that way we can have it open and go from all those Saturdays. We can just put what's the best Saturday in, September and leave August alone. Let's leave summer alone. But we're not going to leave it alone because we're planning for this very, amazing retreat. Yes. Okay, so September,
We also have this mention that are on board by then. and
July.
see the-
that, yes,
Go after
have their
July.
training and
Yeah,
that's
we won't give
actually
them time to acclimate.
excellent consideration to
Yeah.
let the, new
New
commissioners.
commissioners. Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay, September it is. And then just do the whole, all Saturdays in September and see what ends up being the best Saturday. Okay. One check. I need five policy. Oh, this is the good part. So we can go down, on the agenda. So Commission on Police Practices, References, Calculates, Senate, policies and procedures for 12 focus areas. So this is what these are our hearings, and we really want to get as much information as we can so that we can, create best practices for our city. So the first one, which is coverage, procedural justice and equity. And what I really love about this is having an anti-racism resolution, knowing that most of what we go through and most of what the complaints are has a lot to do with racism. So, I'd love for us to work on an anti-racism resolution in the sense that we're not racist, right? We are not a racist city. And we are going to act accordingly, right? So that's our goal, is to get the San Diego Police Department to sign on that they are not a racist police department. That is what we're doing.
How do you vision that?
I would
I
love.
have some ideas, but
So this idea came from when Paul was here. So when I first joined the county in 2020, right after George Floyd and all that happened, 2021, I was working with Nathan Fletcher. San Bernardino had passed a racism as a public health crisis. Pretty much I just brought that resolution to San Diego and then we passed it. It didn't really have any there's nothing consequential in it other than looking at information, studying things, trying to look at determinants of
Implicit bias.
like instances where they were biased and studying demographics and arrests and organizing that kind of information, but it was just a symbolic measure. And so it got passed through many other counties throughout the state, and it was in newspapers, and it kind of was like it was like a theme for which we were, going into the George Floyd stuff, and then all these different jurisdictions where that's how this oversight body got passed, and so we want to do that symbolically with the PD as like the first step of the 12 policy areas that we're looking at.
Right.
And then from there, start doing all the other different areas. That's kind of the background.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
I thought that they, in their policy manual, they have the, what appears to be a term statement against racism.
Right.
Very vague.
Are we saying that we would like to see something actual?
Absolutely. Even beyond that, in the sense of, if you say if you're not a racist, then we shouldn't have any racist issues, right? So that is where we're starting. And we're going through each of our 12 focus items. But yes.
No, just in the conversation, because initially I'm like, how do you even implement such thing? Of course, further emphasizing what they currently have, but holding those accountable who go against it. Something to consider when looking at this policy is to have some sort of being able to quantify when this gets when someone does not abide by that policy. For example, let me think of how I can keep it vague. If we come across that there was a stop, let's say for tinted windows, and that stop turned into a search, it's fair for us to question, had those individuals in that vehicle been of a certain race, would it have led to a search? So that's clear indication, I can't say evidence, but indication towards possible racism. But the first thing before even implementing any of that, which I've looked for and I have not seen, is there is complaints from officers within the department and lawsuits of racism within the department. There's complaints by community members of racism within the department. But one thing I've never seen the department do is acknowledge that. So somehow, some way, getting the chief of police on the table, those on the top, to say, we're not asking for you to say, yes, we are a racist department, although that is the case, but is to acknowledge that within your ranks, there are some racist officers, and for them to vow that they will seek those officers and make our city safe. So I think it has to start with acknowledgement from the department.
Exactly. Yes.
Why don't we pop it from the medical profession, because we've already acknowledged,
I love that.
we did like 5 years ago. It appeared in the American Journal of Medicine, it appeared in so many journals, in my journal too, it appeared, that we subject to racial disparities and racism. So if you look it up in the American Medical Association journals and American Public Health journals, I've had a statement about that, because there were women who died who were not attended to because they were Black or Hispanic. And this was basically in my field of OBGYN that this happened in cases like Vanessa, the tennis player,
William.
Williams. She had a horrible complication because she was ignored during childbirth, and so I think that she made it kind of quite, transparent in the media, and the medical profession was a little bit kind of hesitant to come forward, but they finally did.
Right.
And this happened a couple of years ago.
I agree, statements are important, but there's the reason I think is more important to kind of focus on the policy having something concrete as an outcome or what would be considered a violation of SOAP
Right.
is
But
important.
we also had to go to training too, with implicit bias, and a lot of medical fields also implemented that in their protocols. So that's part of policy and training.
No, I agree. Unfortunately, though,
But that
Right.
needs to happen with them, with the basic financial, as we were
Don't-
speaking about.
right, don't quote me, but statements and training is not enough.
No,
Meaning that I think what gets us answers is when there is something repercussions. When there's something that says if ABC happens, this may be an indication of,
so exactly, so that is why we're starting with the resolution. And then that's why policy is coming behind it on each of these.
got you.
Okay.
Okay, that makes
And,
sense.
okay, and just like, Mr. Berger started with, he said it is a health crisis.
Right, it is.
And
Yeah.
we now have a whole new, mental health court. So it all fits in,
Airport, yeah.
so I think we're right on where we're supposed to be.
Okay.
So adding the myth, the status period, in that was major. Yes.
I'm of the firm belief that we can't go forward unless we understand our history. And, you know, like, do we all know when the first police department in the US was established? And do we know when, you know, why that was even started?
Right.
It started as a state, which,
It
so,
was,
like,
yeah.
there was a lot of incidents of, you know, after the Civil War, getting through and finding people that escaped slavery. And then, to build off of that, this department was founded in 1889.
Right,
And there was departments all across the US that were established because of this one that was started in Boston, I believe.
and then Los
And that was
Angeles.
in, yeah. And so we have to understand our history and why we really began this police department and where those rooted from, because they were really, you know, this systemic racism.
Right,
And that has allowed for all of these different inequalities to happen and to grow without being challenged because that was, you know.
right.
So that training and that understanding of our history of
Is
the
there-
US history, of the police department's
How to
history,
keep that work, too.
is part of this type of policy. And when we try to understand anti-racism, you have to understand the acknowledgement that history exists and this is the first one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I am very glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because you just volunteered as that part
I
of
can
the
help.
resolution.
I
But we
can-
all are gonna help.
yeah, because I
But-
was just talking about it to my husband yesterday.
We all talk about the
In Los
history of it.
Angeles, it was, in the early part of the 20th century, well, no, I'm sorry, going back to post-Civil War. A lot of them were filtered from the cabinet, and this is because I was watching a Native American show on PBS last night, about the Buffalo. So a lot of them became police officers after
Yeah.
after the Civil War and after the Indian, campaigns in the West. Because that's what the show is about. So they, became police officers in these big major cities because there was no other employment. That's the reason why they have titles like sergeant and blah, 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 you know.
But they all still come from that
Basic
same, original training
Right.
from slavery.
And Indian fighters, they were, buffalo hunters.
Really
by the
quick.
way.
For
No.
the,
It was a very interesting
Yeah.
documentary.
I was just gonna say for the sake of time.
Fine,
since it's
okay,
5:30.
sorry.
No,
I
this is
just
good.
meant to
Um,
throw that in.
Any action items for anti-racism resolution? You gave him one. And
Well,
what about for the team?
I'm still moving because I'm about to move this one right here, because I just created my history,
Right.
subcommittee right here.
I'm very interested.
So, yes,
I have one thing to that specifically. I think the goal of ours should be, there is a history page on our website that we were doing in the community outreach committee, and I think building that and getting the acknowledgement of the police department that this is accurate and including that statement with the signature of the chief on the historical site, on the historical page that we have, that full history acknowledged by the department and accepted as truth by the department.
but we want to put it under the resolution, include it, and not have this separate and separate. So we want it all like,
Yes.
that's why we're starting with, this is where it's from. And now this is where we are, and this is why it's been such a hot
Understood.
mess, because we're still over in slavery and we haven't changed anything since then.
Understood.
So that is exactly why we're sticking here with this anti-racism. And then, so I love that. So,
Yeah.
you know, my historians for our versus resolution. So, we're gonna continue on with adding the parts, but this is exactly this is exactly what's supposed to happen. Where am I? So obviously, this is gonna be, so the goal is to, right now, we're kind of getting an outline of it. Our next
Mhm.
meeting, on the 26th, we'll have a better outline, so you guys can kind of figure out, you have a little bit of time.
And this is something we can talk to Jerry Freed about too. He floated the idea at first, actually. I think there's a chief in Richmond. It was like a black female chief
Yeah.
that did something similar to this. I haven't found exactly what it is, but there's some
So we'll
outlines.
get that, we'll get that stuff, okay? So that's what we're,
ACLU, we also has a historical,
Yeah.
goes all the way to the 110s and all that.
Yeah,
okay, so you guys tell me.
yeah.
We came to talk about it. When you guys were here in the commission, they came to speak to, remember that ACLU point? And they spoke-
ACLU, maybe for the retreat or something possibly.
Yeah, those up to you guys, but
I'm liking that idea,
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
right?
Yeah. Is it close on the board?
So ACLU as possible, speaker
collaborators.
for, yes, speaker for, our retreat. So what we plan to do this time in, our next meeting, for the retreat, we want to have an outline of the resolution, because we don't want the resolution to be, we want it to be a full committee, a full commission input, but, we want to have a nice outline for the retreat, so that we can split the body to it. But we want to already have like this established on what it's somewhat gonna look like. And then look at what other cities have done. And, see what we can take from that.
That's a good
Of
question.
course,
So, we're looking at just the specifics of how an anti-racism resolution is connected with the SPPD, with the police department, and what that looks like, and our piece in that. We're really determining the history to really make the truth go why this is needed.
exactly.
Is that what we're doing?
Yes. that
Okay, I
was-
just want to clarify where we're at and where we're going,
Mhm.
and that makes sense.
Mhm, mhm.
Thank you.
You're very
Yeah.
well. Thank you. Okay,
So-
so obviously, there's gonna be a lot more to this. Let me at least read, our summary, so. Oh, and I love this, I love our agenda, it has, links. So when you guys check it out online, you'll be able to hit these links. Going into, the Senator Police Department policy and their non-biased based.
Did you wanna go through them really quickly and?
I'm scared.
You-
Go ahead. You can go.
We did not open it up for public comment though. Do we
Oh,
wanna
please.
do that?
Oh, sh-
So let me ask if there's anyone online that would like to speak on the deliberation of these policy areas. Please raise your hand.
These are open
We have one speaker from D. Arman. I'm gonna have you unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes to speak.
So we're going to address each policy as we go through this, correct?
Yeah.
We are currently on anti-racism, correct?
Correct.
These officers need to have, I'm stealing my daughter's thunder, by the way, Patty's. They need to be psychologically tested and put in simulators and ensure that we do not have racist law enforcement officials. And that starts with the chief. Color of skin has no bearing and should not determine their actions. These people need to be identified and thrown out of the police force.
Thank you, sir. And this concludes public comment.
Yeah. Definitely to be considered.
Everything's public comment on every single.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, so, we really are gonna have to, so it's almost like history. And, our current problem. And what are the best ways, this resolution, so how do we, like we said, training, psychological testing, it's really good. And then it goes into, okay, so we did all that, and now we have all of these wonderful anti-racist officers. But an officer made a racist act, right? So now, as what you're talking about, is what's the punishment? What's the reason? What's the accountability?
What's the
To breaking the resolution? So I think those are the steps. So history, being proactive, which is the training and.
I would say, more so, one thing I noticed while reading all these procedures and policies from the SBPD, a lot of it is open to interpretation. So what's important when you have factors that are open into interpretation is that you have examples. This behavior would constitute ABC. This may not, this may, at least in training, but at least a few examples definitely in policy for whoever wants to brush up on it.
So one thing is, we already know that the police department has a very broad policy, right? And procedures, it's very broad. So our goal is to do just the opposite of that. And what is that? Just like what you said. And so that's why we're going through each thing. Pretext stops. What does all that look like? Forced waiver. It's obviously racist, but let's break that down. And my biggest thing is, because I'm a commissioner, which means I have to abide, not even abide, I have to uphold our Constitution. And most of the time, the cases that we go through, I see constitutional damage, constitutional rights being totally discarded, which is how that forced waiver comes in. But I just needed to be really, and I know I'm saying because obviously this is very personal to me. I'm not just here as just for the community. I'm a part of the community, so this affects me just as much as it's going to affect each and every one of us. So I apologize when I keep saying that. I definitely know Swooty.
And I just want to give it to you for.
Please.
Mhm.
Let's do it.
Okay. And so,
I didn't-
should we go out as we go through?
Yeah.
So officers must conduct themselves with respect and professionalism. Policy prohibits this arbitrary language and mandates patience and discretion in public interactions. For that, we're reviewing it, and then are we going to?
Well, let me just do this really quick, because I didn't do the anti-racism, and so let me just read that summary real quick. And this is the detail that Commissioner Rodriguez is basically kind of talking about. So, prohibits officers from facing enforcement actions on race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, or similar personal characteristics. Reinforce principle of constitutional and equitable policing, excuse me. So now, just with that out of the way, and then we just read, courtesy policy. So how are you guys feeling? You want to move through this, or do you think we have the time to put those blue links?
So I would say that we move through them. We can
And then we
just kind of
can-
highlight them, and then we can do that on our own time. And
I agree.
Yeah.
And then we come back on our next meeting and really, so we have homework, guys. All right, fair enough.
and these are just the policies associated to it. This is not the policy. This is not all the policy, all the procedures. These are just like the bedrock.
That's
Right, and also I read some of the findings, like finding number 28, 29, 30, on bias free policing by the auditor, Mr.
And that's what's next. Yeah.
It's interesting, but both will summarize real quick.
And this is exactly what we're doing, is we're starting with, three findings, and then we're gonna expand from that. So like you say, it hits a lot of this right here.
That's it, because he's alluding to what we just said, but it found examples of whether they use the person's demographic characteristics, like the neighborhood, like they usually do the pretext stuff in a 5-time neighborhood, as it's called. So yeah, he outlines it very clearly.
I'm just sorry, I just wanna make sure we're gonna stay on time because we have 18 minutes left.
Oh my God.
Shoots, yes, I know.
Okay. We're gonna talk.
What I would ask is that we go through the entire thing and we have public comments afterwards, and I don't want to read it out loud if you guys will mind.
No, go
Would
ahead.
that be
We're
okay?
just- yes.
We're gonna do all of it
Yes.
and then we're gonna have comments on it.
Do you want me to, I mean, I made the, do you want me to just go through it since I made
that
it?
would be great,
Okay.
actually.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
So there are six different
Mr. Burgess
sections.
is going to, give a presentation.
Yeah, so we grouped into six different sections. If we we're gonna break it down with create groups within the commission, we can kind of tag team it doing the research. So we kind of went over the first one, which was procedural justice and equity, and that's the courtesy policy, the racism potential resolution, and then stop searches and field investigations. So pretext stops, fourth waiver investigations. And so the summary for pretext stops: officers must have a reasonable suspicion to initiate a detention, prohibits arbitrary questioning, and probation unless circumstances justify it, designed to prevent profiling. So it's kind of building off of the resolution. Fourth waiver, the relevant policies here in the blue link. The idea here is approaching this would helps regulate searches of individuals with Fourth Amendment waivers, requires verification of status and lawful purpose, operations plans and supervisory approval required for high-risk entries. Third section is gang enforcement tactical operations. So this is looking into the gang database, special operations unit. Fourth section is use of force and tactical control. So use of force policy, rushing through this, and de-escalation policy. And also K9's, a review of the K9 manual as well. The fifth section is critical incident response. So pursuit policy and protest policy are in this category. And the last category is transparency and accountability.
It's my favorite.
And this will be looking at the procedures for body worn cameras.
So here's the question, because we are breaking this up amongst stuff. So where does everyone see themselves? And obviously you don't have to make a decision today.
Pretext.
Okay.
Kind of predicted that one.
I'm also sick to. Pretext.
So team, this is our team. Team, okay.
Section 1,
Commissioner Chesky, it looks like.
Section 2.
For one,
I thought they were one.
There, yeah, Armando and Lupe are.
well, their history, which is not a technically number one, that's, you're like the pre.
Bit of
What
break.
you want, it goes into, so you're doing,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
I'm having the numbers by one.
I was board members, because I was thinking of the pursuit policy, because I was involved. That's a plan to be able.
Well, you can do history and you can do, what did you just say?
Pursuit.
Pursuit.
That's what, Amanda, you want to share that pursuit? Yeah.
May I propose you do one thing?
So most of us here, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask that we go through all of it first, and then we all
We all.
take a look at the policies individually, and then we come back to it. and
No decision until
Yeah,
we
because
go
we haven't-
home.
fully gone into this yet, so we don't want, I don't, too much on that. Not that any of us would, so we should really.
I
we
think
go-
Well, what I am gonna do is I'm gonna grab what you already did agree to.
Yeah. okay,
And we'll hold on to
yes.
that, and we'll hold on to that, and we'll hold on to the
Yes.
pretext, and we can kind of stop there, do our homework and see, because I'm interested in all of it, but I'm definitely not doing all of it. So,
I wanna do all of it right now.
I know, but we cannot.
Yeah,
yes,
I like your idea. We're very ambitious. We want to do this in a timely manner, but we also have to be strategic. I like the idea of doing our own work, but I also like a team of focus, and then we can swap that around if need be.
there are no, there are no lines.
Right.
There are no lines. So when you're ready to jump in, and especially if you come up with some material on history, you definitely want to bring it to the table and.
Most
share.
important, this
So,
is all related to each other.
It is.
yes.
All
all
related to
intertwined.
each other. And then one last request before anything, which is related to the policies, is which committee can determine for us to do a community engagement to hear the community? It's been a long time since we had the last one. I would like to do more better advertisement, get with the nonprofits that focus on justice reform and kind of promote it to get the community to come together. I know we did K-9, I know we did free tech stop, but I kind of want to focus on these.
Well, that's what this whole thing is about. We already, each one of these are gonna be a hearing. All of these are public hearings. So, and we can't do it all together. So our plan, this is technically going to take 3 years to get through each one. And I know that sounds like, dang, that's a long time. What we're gonna focus on our next meeting, that's why I wanna make sure what the order is, what we think is most important to do first, second, last, throughout the 3 years. And we want to do it quarterly, because we don't wanna rush, we don't wanna have it like every 60 days, every 30 days. We wanna have time so that we can really get the speakers, get the information, best practices. So we're looking at 4 per year. 12, so, and we're working with a community engagement and marketing promotion to make sure that we really are in the right place for the community and enough time. And because my first thing, like, let's say if we were just to do not necessarily a full outside of, I'm even just doing like a presentation inside our actual commission meeting to say that it doesn't have to be outreach, like it doesn't have to be a full hearing, but just in our commission to do walk through complaints. Once we get something, how do we do a complaint? Like, once we get to where we should be,
Yeah,
or not even get there, but at least it starts.
yeah, yeah.
Of course.
I'm trying to learn from what we did with the pursuit policy. Where we had some success working with the police department on these. And it took about 3 months, I would say, from when we submitted these, so we got a response back, and when we, were able to do correspondence, and then we had, public hearings and everything, that whole process, 4 down to 3 months. 4 is a very good goal, and it's based off of that, I'd say. That structure, the marketing for it is gonna take time too, and we have such a good foundation for it, I'd say.
And us knowing what the 4 years, we can have a flyer that has all 4 dates. Not to say right, we can work it, but where people will know, they'll put it on their calendar, get in a location. So, and enough time for us to get best practices, the experts to speak on the subject. Whoever has success on this. So that's the goal. So we just wanted to make sure it's in our order, and then we pick our first 4 for the year. And then we.
I found a technicality.
Uh-oh.
Just thinking,
Please.
so we're planning to do these separately, one by one.
Some are gonna be combined, like some are
Right,
so close
So-
that you can't do it separate.
The concern comes with contradicting policies. Meaning,
No.
for example, you may have something within the pretext stop that mentions something about maybe pursuits or de-escalation. So kind of one thing we need
They
to
are
do
gonna overlap.
our due diligence, right, where it overlaps. Because within, like, let's say we're making a recommendation for the use of force and tactical control, maybe something within there would cause for something to change on their de-escalation or under pursuit. In which within that policy, recommendation, we can also issue a minor update for another policy until we look at it.
Absolutely, okay, because we're trying to, we are creating. Our community we're not gonna just be a community, we're gonna be a family. We're gonna report, and we're gonna connect what we did last time, and we're gonna bring this, and what happened from that, and what's the new this is gonna continue.
Yeah, I just seen that for
It's
too
not gonna
long.
just go boom, and then, okay, we're done with that.
Right, cause
It's
we can say
impossible.
this violate this policy, and then the department's gonna say, but it aligns with this one. So we wanna get rid of those gray areas.
First,
Yeah, and so we've been having like these conversations preparing for this,
Okay.
that are, you guys will have all the information of what we've spoken about, but the idea is to have the hearings that are not necessarily leading to recommendations. Just a part of the research, acquisition, and then when we see fit to make recommendations and make them. So we're not being preemptive saying we're gonna make recommendations on
Right.
everything. So when things combine
Okay.
as needed.
So at this point, we have 7 minutes left. Do we want to continue the meeting in terms of going over these specifically in all of them, or do we want to?
I'm good to continue.
Yeah, because if we discuss them every single time, we can't get through it, and there's no way we're gonna get out of here at 6 minutes.
We're not.
I just want to be aware, because I respect everyone's
I
time.
appreciate that.
Sorry, Aaron.
That's cool. You want to just do it? I mean, we can have a quick discussion about Jerry Three's
I think-
findings. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We went through it. No, we went through all of this. We're good.
Yeah, we're all familiar.
But, and also, you gotta at least getting what, the vision.
Yeah, exactly. We want to allow time for public comments, and we want to make sure that the public has a chance to think about their own.
Absolutely.
Whose idea was this, independent audit?
The Jerry Three audit? I think that was before even Paul was here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up for public comment now.
Because we're moving on another,
Topic.
Yeah. So we have one hand raised for public comment. If anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand. The first hand is Patricia DeArmond. I'm gonna ask you to unmute, and you have 3 minutes to speak, please.
Okay, 1 second. All right. So I'm really glad that this study by Jerry Three is being brought up again, because every single one of these items listed contributed to the death of my brother, the murder of my brother. Every single one of these. I want you guys to look at each and every one of these and question, how does it apply to Christy Arman's case? And what kind of changes can be made out of Christy Arman's case to fix the systematic oppression and racism and prejudice? I want people that they feel like their word means nothing. They are told their word means nothing. Their human rights, constitutional rights are violated. I want them to be given some credit. I want everybody to have a second chance in life. I want everybody to have a right to life. I want everybody to have a right to be rendered medical aid and not violated based off gray laws and this systematic oppression and torture, physical torture that's done. This needs to end. Please take this assignment very seriously and apply it to Christy Arman's case in every single way, because all of this led up to the death of my brother.
Thank you, Ms. DeArmond. We have no other speakers with their hand raised, so that concludes public comment.
and I just want us to know that that is exactly our goal, is to make it black and white. No gray areas, because you can't read gray, but you can read black and white. So that is, exactly.
Can you put one thing before we close?
We're not close.
Oh, good, okay.
As well. Where did you want to go, Mr. Vargas?
Oh, it's up to you.
Well, we want to go to the recommendations on the 3.
Yeah, so here's the first 17 here that we already kind of got past.
Yeah, so.
So the first section is complaint investigation systems, which we kind of moved on that already. The second 17 is use of force policy findings. So we can look here when it comes time to do that hearing and do the research, we can look at these here. And that goes up to finding 27, and then finding 28 starts bias-free policing. So this may be a good starting point for the, racism proclamation. And that goes until finding 35, and then finding 36 is proactive policing stops. So we can look at this when we're looking at stops and fourth waiver and those sorts of things. Then you got some First Amendment policy findings. And then at the end here is body worn cameras, and then courtesy findings, and then you have miscellaneous at the bottom.
And I really like the, the statistics, like all of the tables, it shows like how racist it is. So it would be that, this is where the black and white comes in. This is like, we make it really, really clear on focusing on this, however we make these recommendations. And then finding best practices. Okay, did we actually get through this? I feel like we had one more thing.
Let's get it.
That would be good.
So, okay, so we kind of have so we'd move on to setting the agenda for the next meeting.
That's what we
We'd
got.
move on there.
Yes. So, are all minds clear to what we're doing? Okay, so let's work on our next agenda so we can take whatever we do now and put it on our next agenda.
Can I propose something?
Yes.
I would like to create a series of folders for every single policy we're reviewing. I'll use in a drive. So that way we can put the specific findings from Jerry 3 in each individual one.
Armando, you're gonna make me cry,
Huh?
please.
And then we would have, shared locations in that as
Because we can
well.
always add,
Yeah.
get in there.
And then using that, we can come back to our next meeting and determine who's gonna work on what, because we all have an idea of what. I propose we also include the historical things that we look at, any books that we want to recommend to the group, anything based off of every individual policy. That way we all have an idea of where we go with this. And we can even invite the community to come in and send us cases, things that they find relevant to these specifically that we can use as a push towards making communities better. And that's my recommendation.
I like that, and like
I
what
can do
I'm, go ahead.
No, say I can do that.
Okay,
The folders.
yeah.
Just for clarification, inviting the community to send us cases of,
Anything that they find relevance within these policies that we're reviewing, just to see if we can build off of our intention.
Like truly get community input, meaning.
Yeah, if there's something that
This is,
feel is
we know that in, I don't know, every place I keep thinking of, I know
Yeah.
it's a racist place and they have horrible,
Yeah.
police systems, so I'm trying to find a good place, but I can't come up with one. So I'll just say Timbuktu. So Timbuktu has this amazing, policing, and I visited, and they're gonna, community members are gonna give us that information, yes, to
Yeah.
get full community input.
because I believe that what Bart said previously was that we can include case numbers for when we're proposing something, not necessarily case information. Or anything to do with relevance of like identifying police officers, because at the end of the day, the only people that can look into the cases are people that have that case number and are part of that group of people that have access to that case. So when we refer to a case number in, proposal, that officer, the chief would know exactly what we're referring to, and he would be able to pull from those cases, such as the Christie Garment case. He could pull from that case. If we have the case number and that case number is also attached to the recommendation, saying these are the relevant ones to look at and where we find credibility and where we find the power that we have, in pushing these forward.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's in our benefit to have the community send us their case numbers or anything that they feel that we should really know about, so that we can push these forward and they hold more weight.
Yeah.
I'll make that a part of the report.
You mentioned-
to
but
call
do
out
we
for that.
want that? Let's say they want to institute a complaint.
And that would be a different process. We would refer them to Alina or to the complaint portal to make a formal complaint. This is more so sharing their complaint that's already been filed and it's already past that discipline timeframe.
Not even, because if we engage enough with the community and get members that may have been discriminated against or had negative interaction with police, but had no idea on how to file a complaint. It's just, I like what you mentioned, as getting that community input. And I think we should work with the community outreach committee
Absolutely.
on reaching out, kind of identifying, I know I say it a lot, but I think this is the route to go. those nonprofits that already have those members that we want to hear their voice. For example, there's one I have my eye on called Shop Hat Outreach. And they are a reform nonprofit. They get men and women who are coming out of jail, who are getting their life together. You know, we want those people because they are actively getting their life together, and I guarantee you that they're being harassed. And they have that voice on, you know, what were the practices, you know, in the process of your arrest, were they valid processes or not? Like, those are things we want to hear.
And that's kind of how we can even kind of promote it, like, we need your help to make new policy, so come share your stories, your recommendations, and that's kind of how we'll put it out there.
Yeah, we'll invite them to our next meeting. Or we'll invite them to our next meeting, or we'll invite them to give public comment before, like in slips or anything, emails, to our group. Where we can really understand the information beforehand.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to bring up, it's hard to get us all together. I don't know if we gotta follow up with Bart for this idea I had, which is maybe kind of reaching out to certain community libraries. And instead of having an entire commission, maybe we could have one or two commissioners advertise, hey, I'll be in this location, any community members who want to come in and speak on this topic will be here for an hour. You know, and like that, we don't have a lot of issues with scheduling and getting all 20+ of us together.
No, I think that's great. It goes along with, Yasmin, her outreach that she's doing in the sense of kind of like keeping that model. And one thing I did hear Yasmin say is that, so then you can come, learn, share, and then do it on your own.
Yeah.
So I say, let's finish the calendar. Hopefully, you all can participate in some of the, outreach meetings. I'm doing and it's so funny, ever since I signed up for it, it keeps coming up, which is, I want to do the, what is it? What is the, humanity, commission? What is it?
HRC, Human Relations.
Human Relations. So we have one, we're meeting with that board.
Okay.
Or that commission, and I want to do that. I want to connect us.
Sorry,
Yeah.
since they mentioned Jasmine, just to promote this event that I signed up for, I don't think no one else has.
I looked at it, but I didn't look at it. On the
It's the
24th?
Juneteenth event.
I just emailed her saying I could do either shift.
Oh, perfect. So I picked one shift from 11 to 3. He picked one, so there's like
But
two
where
or
are you?
three, two more open. For
Myers,
setup,
are you gonna do the,
time of the
morning
event,
or
and
the-
then take down.
Because she
It's a
wanted
company
two
holiday,
per-
then
Right, I
that's how much,
emailed her and I said I could do either one.
Oh, okay, that's right, okay, let's see.
Set up an event, okay.
Are those all the agenda items we want for our next agenda?
No, because
Yeah, we took-
we're not done with our agenda, sorry.
No, sorry, we're at 6:06, I just want to respect.
Are
the-
you rushing?
I'm trying to keep us on time.
He
because
has
I wanna
somewhere
be-
to go, cause
Do
this
we
is
have to
new.
be,
I got feedback that I maybe do extend the time frame a bit because I talked so much.
do we need to take a vote on
Even
extending?
more, I'm trying
I
to.
opposed
He's the
Um,
self-aware.
I'm trying to be self-aware of our time, but also I respect all of your time and I want to make sure
You
that
say June
I'm getting better
21st?
about this.
June 21st.
Yeah.
Is it 24 or 21st?
The 21st, I'm pretty sure, but let me.
21st.
It is
The
21st?
First day of summer.
It's a Saturday.
First day of summer,
Well, it's right after June.
What's I do have something, but
summer.
help me again, what's the time?
Summer solstice.
Mr. Chair, we have
The times are.
public on the.
Yeah, we could look at it on our own.
Yeah.
Pardon
We
me,
can go to the next item.
That's a good idea.
pardon me. Okay,
Summer solstice.
so the 21st, I don't know if I can do it, but, please, if you guys, because that'd be great to,
Everybody done.
participate, and then that way we're learning how to hold our own public events, and then we're also learning from what we already have. Okay, so on our agenda, we're coming up with a retreat date. We're gonna, in between that, we'll have the date after we do a doodle or something, right?
Mhm.
For September retreat. So we'll have the date on the agenda, right? Is that a discussion? Because then we're gonna put the
Oh, so-
agenda together for the retreat. Next.
So you want
meeting.
to do that offline? Setting the agenda for the next meeting?
We can.
Yeah.
You guys, okay,
set
so is
agenda.
there anything you guys want you guys pretty much know what we're doing, so we'll put it and make it all nice and pretty. We're good?
Keep it short.
Okay, yes. We actually kept, we only had 3 items.
I
Can you
know,
believe
it's
it?
very good. It's needed.
Yeah, we did it. We went through it. Okay,
I'm sorry, President.
no, you're awesome. So we're pretty much done. We want to do public comment on non-agenda items at
Sure.
this time, so we can finish up. Perfect.
If so, if there's anybody virtually who would like to speak on non-agenda public comment, please raise your hand and we'll call on you to speak. Star 9 to raise your hand. Seeing none, that concludes public comment.
Okay, and
Adjourn.
all minds are clear?
Oh, we do have one.
Oh.
Miss Patricia DeArmond, let me ask you to unmute. Please unmute. Push this button right.
Hi, again, I just wanted to say that I'm looking forward to the work that you guys will be doing on this. If you need any input from community, you know, me and my family are more than happy to share. My brother experienced the injustices being part of a court system and probation, parole, fourth waiver, ex-felon, all of these things that officers use as an excuse or justification of violating somebody. One recommendation specifically that I would have for you guys, if after how long can an ex-felon regain their full rights? Honestly, I would like a time frame for that to happen, because what's happening is these officers are making them a prisoner, our family members a prisoner of their past, and they're using this excuse of their past to violate them and murder them. My brother was getting his life together. He was home nearly 4 years before he was murdered. And we saw a change in him. And he was treated like a piece of trash. He was targeted, surveilled, racially profiled, pretext stop. It was very wrong what happened to him. And I would like a time frame, if you guys can come up with a time frame to when somebody who's trying to live right can regain their rights again. Because these pretext stops are a violation of somebody's privacy. These weapons hot stops, weapons pat downs are a violation of our privacy. And yes, sometimes people do need to defend themselves, not just certain people. And any input I can provide, I'll be more than happy to, because we have lived it, experienced it. My brother lived it, experienced it. He suffered, we suffered. This is torture. This is what leads them to developing PTSD and depression. Once they're targeted constantly, they lose their employment, whatever it is. If they're suffering with addiction, depression, PTSD, loss of income, all of these things bring them rock bottom down. And we had to witness this. And we're here with you guys. The DeArmond family stands with the CPP. If you guys are willing to put in that work and your heart and soul into this, because this is our tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeArmond. We'll move to Mr. DeArmond. Please unmute.
Yes, I just wanted to applaud the new chairperson. I think we're off to a really great start here. And I think everyone is going to do a really good job. But I do need you guys I understand your organization is important, but I really need you guys to be brave and go after the police. Don't be afraid about hurting their feelings or offending them. Well, they murdered my son, okay? There's no excuse for that. I need you guys to be brave and be after them and hold them accountable and come up with the proper rules and regulations so this outlaw posse that we call San Diego Police Department can take a round turn and start acting like law enforcement officials who are sworn to protect and serve. Thank you, ma'am, for everything, and thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. DeArmond. This concludes public comment.
Okay, then I believe this adjourned our first policy committee meeting.
Do you gavel? Wait, where's your gavel? I'm just kidding. There's no gavel.
Next time. 6:13.
I just, I lost my ticket.
Adjourned at 6:13.
Yes. Don't say that.